And good evening. Welcome to the Mangan Park Neighborhood Association meeting for May of 2020. We have a great lineup this evening, and we hope that you are going to enjoy this meeting. We are going to start with our SacPD safety minutes with Lewis, officially Sergeant Luis Canella, but he has asked to be called Lewis. And after Lewis shares SacPD safety minutes with us, we will be hearing from some SMUD representatives and to talk about the carbon free by 2030 plan, the update for this year. And maybe we'll get into some tree stuff, and maybe we'll just talk some neighborhood stuff at the very end. So welcome everybody. And Lewis, welcome to Mangan Park. We are so glad to meet you here this evening.
Well, hello, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Jennifer, and everybody here today. First of all, again, my name is Sergeant Luis Canella with SacPD. I've been with the department about 15 years. I am one of 6 sergeants that are in charge of supervising what we call the District 4 area of the city of Sacramento, which encompasses this neighborhood. So thanks for having me again. And I know typically we give you some safety minutes about crime recently in the area, things like that. This was a little different just because the folks that do that for us just couldn't get us those numbers right away. So there is something major that comes up from those the next week or so. I'll make sure to get those to you, Jen, to get those out to everybody else. But right now, for today, was more of a meet and greet for everybody to know who I am and kind of see where we'll go from here. If you have any questions, please ask me. If I don't have the answer for you, I will get it to you as fast as I possibly can. And then also just heads up, I am currently working. So if you see me kind of have to mute and step outside, I might be on the radio taking care of some stuff. So thanks for having me here. And then I look forward to meeting you all and see if you have any concerns or questions I can answer for you.
Oh, thank you. And again, welcome. Are there any questions straight up for him or any local concerns? Because Lois, do you also work with the Meadowview area?
I do. Not typically. So my area encompasses from essentially the pockets all the way to Highway 99 and between Florin and US 50 to make it a little simpler. That's kind of our District 4 zone. Once you get past Florin Road, it goes into a different district, but we kind of all work with each other and help each other out. So it may not be directly my area that supervised, but I'm always there regardless of it because it's just the way it works out.
All right. Well, thank you for that explanation. So do you take in Land Park as well?
Yep, sure do.
Okay. All right, Chris, it's you and me with any questions directly for his area, but Barry and Jeff, you know you're welcome. Joel, hello, welcome, glad you're here. And if I remember right, Joel is a Land Park resident with a keen eye for environmental concerns, and he's a bicycle advocate. So welcome this evening, Joel.
Hello, thank you.
You are very welcome. So glad you could join us. So I think it's been a kind of a quiet month in Mangan Park regarding crime, which is nice. I haven't been, handling texts or next door PMs or anything like that signals that we're having unusual amounts of problems. So I'm happy to say that there's nothing really new for me to share. Chris, has anything come up for you?
Yeah, actually, I have a couple of questions. Number one, so the first thing is that I'm, we're partnering with the park rangers, and they're going to be talking at our meeting and everything. And I'm really trying to understand the relationship with SacPD and the park rangers. Like, for instance, I hear that there was a kid that was hit in Land Park just a couple of weeks ago. In the park, it was a hit and run. Somebody told me this who's there in the park a lot. So I'm just wondering, like, how do you communicate with each other? What are your duties when it comes to things that are happening in the park, whether it's speeding or crime or whatever? How do you work together?
So typically what happens with park rangers or park safety folks is their responsibility is obviously the parks. And so anything that's park related, if they're available, they'll go handle. It gets a little bit more in the weeds if it gets to something really, really up and like violent or a possibility of a weapon. If it comes to that, they kind of let us handle it because they're not armed. They do have weaponry on them, but it's not a firearm. So they can only do so much. If it gets to that point, they'll kind of let us kind of take the lead on it. But anything short of that, complaints, issues just like that, if it was like a hit and run with the juvenile involved, they'll typically go out. But there are also only so many of them for the whole city to handle. So sometimes they're just busy, let's say the north area, and they can't come out. So no matter what, ultimately it falls onto us. So you call non-emergency or maybe 911, hey, there's this guy in the park waving a sword around. That's something we get here and there. It's gonna come to us, but the park rangers, they share the same radio, they have the same computer system that we have, so they see all the calls that we get at the same time. And they're pretty good about jumping on those that kind of are specific to them. But if they can't, then we'll be more than happy to go out. Oftentimes what will happen is something like that, we'll go together, and they'll typically lead if it's an investigation kind of thing, and we'll just kind of help out however we can, or if they can't, then we'll just take over the whole entire thing.
Okay, well, thanks for that. Did you want to say anything? I know that there was a discussion about the law enforcement budget at the last city council meeting. Did you want to say anything about that? I mean, I looked at the requests for the budget and they look completely reasonable to me, you know, so did you want to discuss anything about how many officers you have in Sacramento and the tools that you're requesting and, you know, anything else?
You know what? I won't go too much into it just because I don't want to speak for a couple of ranks above me. But
okay.
But I saw them too, and I agree. I think within reason, if not a little under. I think we could do more if we could. But obviously, everybody needs more resources, so we could do what we can and what we have. But for now, I think that hopefully, if it does pass, it'll help us out, not just the department, but you guys as well. Because then more officers means more resources, which means, hey, guess what? We can give you a lot more bang for your buck kind of thing, and it doesn't strap us so short. A big thing we kind of deal with now is people need time off. People need to be able to enjoy time either in training or family things, and it's getting a little difficult. So what we do is we have to use overtime resources, which is fine, but at some point that gets really expensive. So if we just kind of staff it better, it might not be a big of a hit. So hopefully it all works out, and I'll kind of leave it right about there so I don't get in trouble.
Okay, that's right. So what, yeah, I don't want to do that to you. What are some of the OT things that maybe normal people like me aren't really thinking about? Like, what are the things that you actually have to do overtime for that I may not be aware of?
The biggest thing for overtime, I can tell you that no problem, is just general staffing. So for each shift, there's a minimum amount of officers that have to fill it, or we try to fill it. So for this shift, which is 2:30 p.m. to about midnight, we are required to have 6 officers in this area. If we don't have that many, then we will either try to get folks from other areas in the city that may have an overlap day, so they have double the amount of staffing, which is unfortunately usually not the case. They normally are just at the minimum themselves. So what we do is something we call backfill, which means, hey, we send a request out to all police, hey, anybody able to work this shift? We're short 1 or 2 bodies. And typically people, yes, I'll work the overtime shift, and then they just work it. So we try to mitigate that. A shift is typically 10 hours long. If you're coming into backfill, we won't go 10 hours. We'll go hopefully 6 hours or 7 just to get over the busiest times, so we don't impact the city and the overtime budget quite as much. But if we can't, we can't. And there have been many times we go out below that minimum, and we kind of we call it something. If it gets really crazy busy, we call it code of 1, which means we don't respond to anything that's not priority or a crime in progress or things like that. So if you were to call and say, hey, I see a suspicious car parked across the street, if we're in code 1 because we don't have staffing or a major incident came out, we don't have enough people to kind of cover the whole city appropriately, we're not going to go out until we get that lifted, which may be a couple hours, maybe longer than that. So we try to avoid that at all costs, because if you call the police, you want an officer there as soon as possible, just like I would. So that's kind of how that works. Hopefully it wasn't too confusing.
Okay, I have one final question. And that is, I understand that part of the budget request was for pods, you know, camera surveillance. And I know that people always complain about speeding in our neighborhoods. And one of the #1 deterrents of speeders is traffic officers. And we really don't have any traffic officers. We've got like 5 or 6 for the whole entire city. So pods are essential for, at least with a hit and run or speeding or anything, probably getting the opportunity to possibly get that license plate. So do you want to talk a little bit about like what you have available in pods right now and how it's helped, and how other areas like there's really struggling right now? These are where the pods would probably be going.
Yeah, I don't know the exact number of pods right now because it kind of changes, but we do have a large amount, and the way I see it, if it's affordable and reasonable, the more pods, the better. I don't see like it hurt anybody. In fact, it helps us tremendously day in, day out. We had a shooting that happened not in your neighborhood, just across the street on the other side of the Fruit Ridge there, and the pod caught the car, and things like that, or a possible car. And the more we have in these major intersections, people have to they can try to go to the back roads, but no matter what, at some point you have to cross a major intersection. So having as many as possible up helps us immensely to be able to use them when we need them for major things like that. Now, as far as speeding, those don't capture speed, it just captures a vehicle. But if your neighborhood says, hey, there's this one car that keeps doing this to us, we don't know why it's happening, we could get on a pod and see which car we're talking about. We may not get exactly the car, but at least we have a lead. Or if someone gets a partial plate even, or a couple of numbers from the plate, we could maybe follow up with that. And we love doing that kind of stuff because that affects everybody. Whether you live here or wherever you live, it affects everybody. So yes, the more pods, the merrier. And as far as it passing or not, we hope so, because it's a very easy thing for us to do, to get on that thing and find out what's going on, instead of, oh, hopefully somebody had a cell phone camera, hopefully somebody wrote down the license plate. And that's okay, but oftentimes people get them unfortunately wrong, including myself, or they're not, maybe they switched up the plate, or they have a different plate in front than the back, and those cameras catch all that kind of stuff. So the more the merrier is the way I see it.
Is that the same thing for the shot spotters? Because I know I've been hearing shots, at night sometimes and on the weekends, or loud booms. And I know that there were some people at that night. I'm not asking you to talk about that evening last week in City Council, but there were some people saying, well, we don't need that technology. But all I ever hear from neighbors is that, who's shooting these guns? You were always worried about illegal gun use and getting those off the streets. It seems like shot spotters, if you're requesting them, you probably need them, right? To be able to at least locate where some of this is happening.
Yeah, I don't know the main reasoning why there's a pushback. I don't want to speak on behalf of anybody that I don't know, but in my experience, and I was here when we first put in ShotSpotter, I was actually assigned to go with the person that went to the people's homes. Hey, do you mind if we put a sensor in your roof? It won't affect you at all. And it was kind of mixed reactions from people. For the most part, though, people were like, absolutely, yes. Because I don't see the drawback in having that. What we could do sometimes, I know people think maybe it's too expensive, but sometimes we get grants that helps us pay for that kind of stuff, or city money that's allocated for that public safety kind of feature. And I think the more coverage we have, the better, because I don't think anybody's going to say, yeah, I want people to shoot a gun and I don't want anybody to find out who. I think we all want to find out because we want to make sure we're all safe in our homes. So I think the more we expand it, the better. We're doing really well now compared to where we were just 4 or 5 years ago. But I think if we went citywide and even countywide, it will only help everybody out a little longer.
Well, thank you, Sergeant Canella. I really appreciate your time and your answers.
Absolutely, thanks. No problem.
And I also want to give a bit of a shout out and a bit of gratitude for Officer Ariel Butoff Paul, who stopped by last week to introduce herself and to check on me and see what she could do to keep an eye on my property. For those of you who don't know the backstory, nothing's happened in Mangan Park. Nothing's happened in 4B. We're okay. But my personal information and a house key, an address and everything were stolen from a family property in the county. And that was actually the second home invasion burglary in my family in 1 week. So my information was taken in 2 separate burglaries in 2 separate counties within 1 week. And so of course I requested additional patrol in my area, because while I got everything, all the locks changed and, locked down and everything, because now I'm on super high alert because, my stuff's been taken too from my family's homes. So Officer Ariel heard of my request for additional patrol and stopped by to check on me, which I consider to be slightly above and beyond the call of duty. And I'm really grateful for that. So please do give her my gratitude and for that, and think kindly and well of her. So that's the good news from Mangan Park, is that Officer Ariel is taking good care of me, and I know it.
Thank you. She's amazing. It's not funny, but it's funny, but also kind of sad for me because she's great. but I'm going to lose her because she is getting moved to a position she's really been wanting to go to, and she interviewed and got the spot. So happy for her, sad for me, but I'm glad that she made a difference. And things like that, if you guys ever see little things of that similar nature happen, hey, this happened to somebody, now I'm afraid it's going to happen here, let us know. Go through Jen, and you can let Lieutenant Kenny know, and they usually pass down the word to us sergeants. Then what we do is we say, hey guys, in this area, in this case, it was specifically hers, take a minute and just, if you can, at least swing by. I didn't tell her to go to your house and talk to you. That's all on her, which I'm glad she did. But if we don't know about it, we can't do anything about it either. So don't feel free to please let us know. We want to do that kind of stuff because one, we feel connected. Two, we make that bond with the community. And three, you never know. Maybe that person or issue was around, we drove by and they kind of shoot them off. So you never know. It doesn't hurt.
All right. Any last questions for Lewis? Well, thank you so much for coming and joining us this evening and for the chance to meet you. We've also met Sergeant Jarvis, and we do our best to be very welcoming and have a great collaboration with SacPD, and we're glad to start that
It
conversation.
looks like Barry Boyd has his hand up.
Oh, Barry, I'm sorry, Barry.
Thank you, Christina, for seeing that. Thank you, Jennifer. I was slow on getting my hand up there, so that's why you didn't see the first look. But I do have first, hello to everyone. I was slow in still hitting buttons when Jennifer called my name at the beginning of the meeting. And just an FYI, Jeff was actually not in attendance yesterday. Jesse just forgot to change over the use of Jeff in administering the meeting because I asked the same question. But anyway, good to see you, Jeff, because I was concerned. I thought, like, hey, did he fall over? Let me go around the corner and check on him.
No, I had three. This is my week of 3 classes. One class is ending and one class is just basically starting. I finished the planning academy class on Monday, and I've got 2 other classes, one yesterday and Friday, and things will be 1 class a week from here on in. So this was a busy week.
Right. I'm glad you're all well.
Thank you.
Sorry for the derailment of your meeting here, Jennifer, but I do have a couple of questions for Sergeant Caniella. Oh, I screwed up your last name.
You know what? It's okay. Normally it's way worse than that, so I appreciate it. Can't do for you, sir.
Right on. I, like most homeowners, want as much security as we can that can be thrown at us, and no issues there. I'm not going to go into a back and forth, but as with anything, technology is still a growing area, and with shot spotters, there is data, a lot of data showing that there is a lot of flaws to it, and has created more state of heightened alert in communities of color from officers, into which actually where the shot spotter recognized a gunshot, but as it turned out not to be a gunshot. And there are, it happens. But with that said, again, I'm not here to go into any type of debate, but just wanted to clarify for everyone, it is not a 100%, works without flaw type of technology. But again, I am open to as much security as a homeowner as everybody else. The one question I do have, I don't know if the district that you service is having the same issues as just south of your boundary there at Florin Road with the, what are they called? Both the side shows, but more so the, what are they called? Doing donuts, in intersections, oh man, that is just really getting me. Information that was brought up last night, which I had no clue, but I guess there's a steel plate program, and I wasn't certain if it was mentioned that is actually being implemented in Sacramento, or Sacramento is looking at doing that, where they're 1 foot by 3 foot by 1 inch high steel plates spaced around intersections. So if your car is doing a donut and you hit that steel plate, it shreds your tire, which sounds like, okay, is the car going to flip over and, run into something else? But at the same time, if shred was the wrong adjective used in last night's meeting, great. If it's just, it makes a tire go flat or whatever, I'm with it. As long as research has showed, no injuries have caused because the tire has flown off and then, somebody else got hurt. All that long-windedness, is the district you're in suffering through the same amount of donuts as we're having over here in the Meadowview District 8 community?
You know what? The sideshow has been a big topic for us lately because they've been really, really strong here, Bay Area, and then kind of in between. In our district, in District 4, we've seen some. They typically will come in through from Broadway and the freeway or off of like Sutterville, and they've shown some presence there, but typically are not there very long, and they kind of take off. It's been more so towards the I-5 and the Casumas or Boulevard area, that shopping center there, that kind of meet there a lot, the meetup spots. And so it's been more there than us, but we're affected as far as we got to send resources because it could be hundreds and hundreds of cars, and we don't have hundreds of cops in the street. So they will pull from our district and from the whole city to actually try to deal with what's going on. And it could be anything from people just showing off their cool cars to people doing donuts, as you said, causing a hazard, or driving on the wrong side of the road with someone in the back of the truck, what we had last week, which was kind of scary, but just things like that. So we are aware of it, and we have certain things in place we're trying to do to help reduce it, or at least let that community of people that like to come in and do that know, hey, if you come to Sacramento, go ahead, but if you aren't following the rules of the road and you're putting the public at danger, we're going to come after you with everything we got, because it's not fair for you and me to be driving to get some dinner and then some guy does a donut and hits your car, or things like that nature. So we're doing our best we can. As far as the steel plates, I have not heard much of that, to be honest with you, so I don't know. As of now, we're not looking into that yet. We have a little different strategy of how we're dealing with these sideshows that has shown some effectiveness for us. And I think we're going to stick to that for a little while. And some of those things are working with CHP and other local agencies when we know they're coming up. And what we do know is that these folks that organize this, they use social media to get their word out. So we have people that are kind of in that mix, so we could know ahead of time that one is coming our way, so that we could do resources, send in that direction, and kind of go from there. And we've talked to the city, Sacramento, about the effects of what they do. People think that donuts are harmless. They're actually not. They cause a lot of damage to the road. And so damage that if we could prove that they did it, let's say through like a helicopter, or one of the officers sees a car doing it and they take off, you can stop it. You just caused a couple $1,000s worth of damage, which if you vandalize the roads and you cause several $1,000s worth of damage, you look at a felony. And so things like that, we started getting out these guys and taking their cars away for reckless driving. They quickly learned, let's go somewhere else. We don't want to do it here because they're coming after us pretty hard. So we're trying our best. And again, it's kind of developed all of a sudden as of early this year, and they really got really aggressive. And so we're trying our best to kind of mediate that as best as possible. That's your question, Barry?
Yeah, yes, you do. Excuse me. Yes, you did. And appreciative to that. And I believe it was this over, I would say Wednesday, maybe it was over this weekend, where you guys had a big, I guess, bust, a lot of arrests. Let me put it that way, in cars towed for a sideshow that was going on here in Sacramento. I was cheering when I was watching the news story, to say the least. I'm like, get them, and keep getting them. Actually, I just thought of one last quick thing, to which Jeff, you probably heard as well. I don't think it was last night. It was within the last few nights. The individuals with the, I don't know what size, not firecrackers, but the larger than M80s, well beyond the M80s and the 560s. I'm like, wow, these guys actually throwing half sticks of dynamite, because it is actually vibrating the house. And I'm like, are you kidding me? That is not a 560. That is, maybe a couple of wrapped together. And you'll hear one close by, and then let's say within 10 minutes, you'll hear one that's, miles away. But because of the sound is so loud, you know it's that whatever that same device was. My question is, are you guys starting to see an uptick like it has been for whatever reason over these last few years of that kind of behavior?
You know what? We haven't seen anything out of the, unfortunately to say, the normal. Once we start getting into late May, early June, July, we start seeing more of that. And what we end up doing is when we know it's going to start getting really busy, or we have isolated incidents like this, we reach out to our explosive ordnance device team, and what we'll do is we'll send them out on like a busy night, like a Friday, Saturday night. And if they see that, they go investigate it. Not that we can't, but again, as much as we can, if it's busy, we may not have the resources, but if we have just those guys assigned just to respond to sounds or calls of large explosives, because they're very dangerous. We all know that. And so if we know that kind of stuff, or if we get intel, hey, we're pretty sure it's this house doing it, we'll definitely run that thing and go with it as far as we can, as far as we have to, getting a search warrant and going and finding this fireworks. And so we've done that before and found several explosives, and that's a big deal. We call in a lot of people for that because it could harm who knows how many people around them. So we haven't seen anything crazy uptick as of lately, but we have known about those recently. And if it becomes a problem, we'll definitely address it a little more aggressively.
Thank you. Just one quick time. What was the name of the unit or the
Sure.
folks who you sent out?
For sure, the EOD, Explosive Ordnance Device Team.
EOD. If you guys are ever short, you need somebody, I might even do it for free. Just call me.
All right, Barry, I'll write you down. That'd be perfect.
Okay. Thank you, Sergeant.
No problem. And one last thing before I forget, if any of you folks ever, if you haven't done it yet, I would definitely suggest one of these days come ride with one of our officers on a ride along. I think it'd be great so you could see what we do, understand kind of a lot of the questions you have. I think everybody should, if they could, at least once in their life, and just kind of why not? I think it'll give you a little bit of perspective and give you an idea what we do a little more specifically.
And now that the pandemic is lightning, absolutely. I know we were doing that, and then for a couple of years it was this big forbidden thing. Do you know when Coffee and Cops is going to come back?
Hopefully soon. We did one, I want to say like 2 weeks ago. I forgot exactly where, but they're going to come back soon because exactly you said, with a lot of the pandemic kind of easing off a bit, we're starting to do more of these social events, which I think are super important to meet and greet the community. So hopefully one coming your way soon. If you have some ideas, by all means, let us know. I'll be happy to work with you.
Wonderful. And yeah, I would love to do a ride along some evening when it's not too crazy.
Well, my team works Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's only the busiest part of the whole week. So by all means, come on in. The busier, the better. You get the most exposure. I think the worst thing sometimes, someone comes in super excited and it's like the slowest day in the world. Only one call happened that day. And then the next day someone comes, it's like a crazy day of busy calls. So you just never know what happens out there. But let me know, Jennifer, and I'll take care of you.
Oh, yes, please. I know I'll be in good hands. All right. Any other questions? Well, Lois, it's been delightful. Thank you so very much. You have done a very thorough job answering our questions, and Mangan Park meetings, just so you know, we tend to float a little bit. Once again, we're small, and you heard me say, once you go through the effort of making a meeting, then you want to provide as many opportunities for people as possible. So I don't have a set day of the month in that week, like a lot of neighborhood associations. Once again, we're small, so we can be a little bit more flexible. Tonight's just kind of odd. And so it's typically someday, Monday through Thursday in the second half of the month. So some months it might be you that we ask to come and join us, and some months it might be Sergeant Jarvis that we invite. Both of you are welcome. But I try to make it about the people, not about the date. And I also have a bunch of people who are like, oh, I can never do Tuesdays. I have class, Jeff. And so, it's good that every now and then we have one on a Tuesday, but every now and then we have one on a Wednesday and a Thursday too, so that people can come when they can make it. So that is how we roll around here. And I'm glad to work with you and Sergeant Jarvis and Lieutenant Kinney. So far, all my interactions with SacPD have been fairly positive. Everyone's been taking really good care of us, so we're grateful. We know you're stretched and short-staffed, but everyone seems to really work hard to be professional and together and supportive. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. If no one else has any questions, I'll let you guys go back to your meeting. I'm gonna go handle a couple of things, but please, if you think of anything after I leave, let Jennifer know and she'll give me any information you guys have or any questions you might have. I'd be happy to take care of that for you guys.
Thank you very much. God bless you and take good care of you, Lewis.
Thank you. See you guys next time.
Good night. And we are happy to welcome SMUD for our next presentation. We have Ashley Adams and Dave Rolland from SMUD. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Sure. Hi, I'm Dave Rowland. I'm a strategic planner at SMUD, and I'm excited to be here. Glad to be back.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Ashley and I work in community relations. So as I mentioned, we are doing a lot of outreach to community groups and neighborhood associations just to try to actively spread the word about our goals for reaching zero carbon by 2030. And I just want to say before we get started, Jennifer, thank you so much for sharing the questions ahead of time that you have for us. I know you got a sneak peek of this information last night. I did receive those a little late in the day, so we did our best to kind of pull the information together. So if we can't address everything, we'll definitely get our subject matter experts to get information to you. Also, I would love to go over our shade tree program, just very high level briefly. But if you guys would like, I'd be more than happy to schedule a time for our representative to come out and speak with you guys about that in a little bit more detail. So got a lot of stuff to share, so I'll let Dave just jump in. I'm going to share my screen really quick and go on mute so that you guys can see our presentation.
Sounds good. Yes, please.
Will you give me sharing ability?
Oh, yeah. You want co-host?
If you don't mind.
Let's see
You don't
here.
want to look at my face all night. I know that.
Let me see here. Participants, Ashley. And okay, so I completely trust you. What my tablet gives me the choice to do right now is to make you the host. So Ashley, anybody who wants to come in the meeting, just let them in. It's okay.
I was gonna say buckle up. No, I'm just kidding. We're super excited to share this information with you guys. So let me pop this up. And I'm hitting share. Tell me when you can see.
I can see.
All right.
All right, let me get
And I can
started.
see.
Hi, my name is Dave Rowland, and I'm a volunteer Clean Power City champion at SMUD. I'm excited to be here today to talk about SMUD's 2030 Zero Carbon Plan, the progress we've made in the past year, and to share ways that you can get involved and join us on our journey to zero. At the end of the presentation, we will have a little time for questions and answers. As you know, SMUD is your community-owned, not-for-profit electric company. We're governed by a 7-member board of directors who live in the wards they serve and are elected by our customers. Because we are community-owned, there are no shareholders, so we make decisions that are in the best interest of our customers and community. Today, we're one of the cleanest utilities in the nation, with 50% of our power coming from carbon-free resources. Although we're focused on reaching zero carbon by 2030, we're also committed to providing safe, reliable, and affordable power and have some of the lowest rates in California. Next slide, please. Let me start by providing a little background on our road to zero. Unfortunately, we live in one of the most polluted cities in the country, and local asthma rates in children are much higher than the national average. That's why in 2020, the SMUD board adopted a climate emergency declaration. In 2021, we created a plan to eliminate carbon emissions from our power supply by 2030. Since then, we have hit the ground running and have made significant progress on our journey to a clean energy future. This next slide is a snapshot of the main pillars of our 2030 zero carbon plan. We plan to retire and retool our existing power plants, to expand our use of proven clean renewable resources, to pilot and scale new projects and programs, to leverage grants and partnerships to limit rate impacts, and to maximize community benefit for all our customers. This work will require significant investments and will also result in thousands of new clean tech jobs right here in our region. So let me get into a little more details on our progress over the past year. on the topic of natural gas generation repurposing. Here you see the location of SMUD's 5 power plants. We have used the past year to complete detailed analysis and reliability studies. And we're pleased to report that we will be able to retire our McClellan plant by 2024 and our Campbell plant by 2025. Now, I was asked to pause on this slide to let people look at it.
Yeah, can you make that a little larger too?
I'm using the power of my mind to zoom it. We'll see. But I'm pretty sure that Campbell's plant is pretty close to the airport.
That's what I was thinking last night, which is why I was like, really? We have one? I mean, can we get in there closer? Because that's the Campbell's plant, right?
Correct.
And now then there's the Campbell's soup factory that's a little closer to 99. That's looking really close to 5. That's why I was like, I wanted to get in there and really see it.
I'm having some, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Oh, perfect. Jennifer, what I'd love to do is, like, even if I zoomed this in, it would be super, super fuzzy. So what I'd love to do is like get you a detailed map so we have the streets and the proximity to everything, and then I can share that with you after.
Go
ahead.
I can say is that right where it says W6, at the lower corner of the W, the lower right left corner is where 99 hits. I think it's Fruit Ridge. So I think we're right there in your neighborhood. So good news, right? If that's closing in 2025.
Right, but we didn't even know it was there.
Okay.
Well, then even better news, right?
Yes.
It's kind of like, really? I'm learning so much in this volunteer gig of mine about how this operates and where things are located. Like, we didn't know there was a compressed natural gas fueling station going in at Meadowview Road, but there's one there now. So the Campbell's is being closed. That's super close.
Yep.
We don't know if it's related to the Campbell's soup factory or not.
I think they're connected. So
You think they're connected?
Yep. I think it's
So
why it's got that name. Yep.
There's a good chance that it's named the Campbell's one because it was, it's close to the Campbell's factory. It might be helping to provide Campbell's with a bunch of energy.
If I recall the history correctly, that you're on the right track.
Okay. And yes, I would love all those maps and everything, Ashley, and I will share that around. Now then, why are those 2 being closed? That was a question.
Yeah. So we've done a complete detailed analysis and reliability studies, and we can close them because we can provide power without them, and it will make air quality better locally. So
excellent. What kind of process have they been using to generate electricity? How old are these facilities, and what's their process in creating energy? I
don't have that kind of history, so I think Ashley, we're going to have to make a note on.
Yeah, let me please take that down because I would hate to misspeak. Yeah, let us get the exact details on that. Just a reminder, I love all your questions. We are the community relations folks who are volunteers, so we will absolutely do our best, but many a times it's just like Sergeant Luis was saying, like, we kind of can't speak above our pay grade at times. So we'll do our very best to get everything done.
and I only know a couple of things, right? Like, I'm a specialist, just like everybody else is a specialist these days. So let me keep it rolling.
Yeah, I'll let you keep it rolling. Thank you very much.
No problem. So moving forward this year, we're working on performing reliability assessments. We're developing our plan to retool our Carson facility, and we're monitoring advancements in alternative fuels. Next, on proven clean energy, here we're focused on expanding our proven clean energy sources. We've activated 6 large-scale battery storage units at our Hedge facility that can be tapped when other energy resources are strained. We also initiated several power purchase agreements to acquire solar and solar plus storage resources that we expect will be online in the next few years. By 2025, we expect that renewable energy sources will be in our power supply will be about 50%, and we'll have reduced our carbon emissions by nearly 1 million metric tons, which is almost 50% of our current carbon footprint. That's amazing progress in just 4 years. Moving forward, we'll continue to execute our power purchase agreements, launch more clean technology projects, and support customers who want to install solar and/or solar and storage at their homes. On the financials, we have been very diligent about the financial impacts of this plan. Last year, our board approved rate increases that were below the rate of inflation, which were 1.5% in 2022 and 2% in 2023. We'll continue to identify savings opportunities and look at other ways we can decrease the need for future rate increases. Additionally, we have developed new internal work groups specifically focused on finding sustainable operational savings, and we're seeking grants and partnerships to help support our work. Lastly, we're looking to pilot and scale new projects. Next slide, please. Starting this year, we'll be implementing pilot programs to build and test our virtual power plant initiative, which we've named My Energy Optimizer. Virtual power plants are the combination of customer resources such as solar, battery storage, and EV charging that are coordinated to help meet demand. When we can share our resources and stored energy in times of high need, we're able to power the grid carbon-free. Our goal is to enroll 10,000 customers in this pilot program by the summer of 2023. Additionally, we plan to continue to increase building electrification projects. We are piloting things like personalized home electricity reports focused on decarbonization. We're also focusing on transportation electrification. Lastly, we are implementing our virtual solar program, which will allow low-income customers to take advantage of solar energy. Income qualified customers will also continue to receive energy assistance program rate and/or medical equipment rate discounts. Next slide. There are also many rebates and incentives that you can take advantage of on our website at smud.org/rebates. I would like to mention a few. SMUD has weatherization options through SMUD's approved contractors to help make your homes more efficient and save money on your bills. You can get rebates for items like heat pump water heaters, induction cooktops, and we can connect you to statewide and local incentives for purchasing an electric vehicle. We now offer a variety of battery storage incentives available for residential customers. For new all-electric commercial and residential construction and energy efficiency retrofits, that's a mouthful. We have many programs and services to help support our customers in their transition to all electric or more efficient homes and buildings. In addition to all our incentives and rebates, we want to give you some ideas of easy ways to get involved on our road to zero. Throughout the year, we will be sharing simple and free or low-cost steps that you or anyone in the community can take to join the charge today. You can go paperless, of course, with your bill. Request your bill be paperless on your SMUD account. Consider driving electric. Keep your thermostat set to 78 degrees and consider getting a smart programmable thermostat. There are great deals at the SMUD Energy Store on these. You can wash your clothes on cold and consider planting a tree or shrub or even weatherizing your home. We're creating a movement and we want you to come along with us on this journey for a cleaner, healthier future. So I hope that you'll be able to start implementing a few of these today. This is just the beginning of our decade-long journey. It's important for SMUD to stay connected with you and all SMUD customers along the way. To join the charge, learn more and get involved with the 2030 Zero Carbon Plan, visit cleanpowercity.org, or you can scan this QR code to be linked to the website right now. You can become a Clean Power City champion by answering a few questions online, and in return, SMUD will send you a Clean Power City t-shirt and join the charge sticker. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you today. It's been a great pleasure and an honor. At this time, I'm happy to take any questions, and we'll get through the questions that we've been sent already too.
Thank you very much, Dave. Well done.
Thank you.
Before we get to my questions, how about we take questions from the other people in attendance? So please, thoughts, concerns, questions for Dave or for Ashley?
I see Barry's hand up. Hi, Barry.
Oh, there you are. And I see Jeff's hand up. We'll go Barry and then we'll go Jeff.
Thank you, Ashley and Jennifer. Just FYI, Jennifer, you may want to retake control of your screen share. Maybe that'll help you
I'm going to
to
share
see.
one more thing again too. So if you, whenever you
Oh,
can talk.
well, never mind.
In case we want them to go back to slides, we need to leave them the ability to go back to slides if those are the questions. But we will in a minute. We're good. What's your question, Barry?
Okay, no problem. To Dave, I believe you guys hashed it down, the the Campbell site. Just making sure, just looking at from the map that you had shown, the entirety of, what is that called? Supervisor District 5, its outline kind of, it threw, I think, Jennifer and myself off because it did look like the city outline to where that little hump area on the western end. I was thinking that was Greenhaven Pocket, but as you narrowed it and saying Fruit Ridge 99-ish is where the Campbell site is, and Campbell Soup is 47th and Franklin, just, close proximity. So if there's another facility.
That's where the triangle looks like when I look at the map. So I'm pretty sure that's where it's at.
Yeah, okay, and that's what I'm thinking too, the Campbell Soup site. And as was stated, excuse me, that is why it was built, to power that huge facility. But my question is, I was reading slow. The first pilot program that our SMUD is seeking 10,000
My Energy Optimizer, that one?
Yes, I saw, I was getting happy thinking, oh, SMUD's going to provide all that. Then I read, oh, already established. Never mind. Now, the other three pilot programs, I didn't read through them. Are they also for customers that already have the products in place? And then the program is to monitor what you already have built in regards to solar and or the electric water heater and so forth, so on.
I'm not totally following you, and I want to understand. Ashley, would you mind throwing that slide back up there with it talks about My Energy Optimizer? I just want to make sure.
I'll summarize real quick. What I'm asking on the other three personalized home electricity reports, the upper right, the home charging installation rebates. Well, that one answered its own self. But more so the personalized home electricity report with a focus on carbon reduction.
Yeah.
I was trying to read through that to see if that was a pilot program SMUD was offering to purchase and install the electric water heater.
So
Let me go here.
home electricity reports is a program. We're rolling it out. It's got a new focus this year. That's going to educate customers about decarbonization. I think it should be going out in the next month or so. And that will give, personalized perspective on how your energy use impacts, your carbon footprint, and as also, costs.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that, Barry, our website, it really is a super helpful tool. And Dave and I were just talking about today, like it's easy to navigate. So I will definitely share the links just so it's ease of access, but you can find all of the details for these incentives and as they roll out, right, on the website and as they apply to you, right? So you can get details for your situation specifically.
Thank you much. I was just being a little bit lazy, but I will go to the site to read further in depth.
Well, and if you have further questions, almost every program has a specialist attached to it. So it's easy to, pick up the phone, give us a call, and we will connect you. So it will definitely make it even easier.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And the, well, I won't say downside, but just had a guess, water heater installed just 2 years ago, but we'll see what happens as far as electricity goes. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's some great incentives, like big
Really
rebates.
good.
So pay attention. Definitely take a look at that.
I will. Thank you, guys.
You're
Is there
welcome.
another hand?
Jeff?
Yes, thanks. And thanks for your presentation, guys.
Of course.
I've been following the city's efforts to electrify the city with the 2040 general plan. And I know Laura Tuller on the Planning Commission is very hard at work at coming up with the recommendations for that. And every so often I get a question in my brain and wait for somebody who's in the loop to ask the question. And right now it's you, Dave. If it was Laura was on the screen, I would ask Laura. But
I'll do my best.
okay. If by magic all of my appliances, my gas appliances today were replaced with electric appliances at no cost, how would my energy bill look, my yearly energy bill look with electricity? Would it go higher, the same, or lower now and in the future? I imagine somebody's done some analysis with that, and as an aware consumer, I just like to know what's going to be coming up in the future. Maybe if things are really drastic, the lower income people would need a little help getting over the hump if it's a real big hike. Hopefully it's not, but do you have any information on that?
Oh, well, so your question is very complicated.
I know.
Because you've got so many devices in your home. So if in this magic thing, you happen to replace your air conditioner, and it jumped from an air conditioner that's 20 years old to one that's brand new, you may save a lot of electricity. And then when you put in the heat pump water heater that's, using electricity to heat the water instead of gas, it may, be still in your favor. Those kinds of things can go on. This home performance program is where they sort of do multiple things all at once. If you could open that other one, the other plus to the right of, nope, you were there. No, both of them, yeah. Thank you. So, that's the simple answer. An electric vehicle, that's going to be more energy. You use a lot of energy to get around town. And
I wasn't really thinking about the cars, so I didn't, maybe it is too complicated. I was mostly concerned with furnace, actually. If somebody had to replace a gas furnace with an electric furnace, because that's where the bills go up a lot.
Right there at the bottom where it says heat pump, HVAC, gas to electric. So depending on the size and the efficiency, you can see there's some pretty good money out there for these things.
And
it's pretty clear, and I'm glad you've got these all handy. Thank you for this, Ashley.
And just to kind of from like a real consumer perspective, like I'm definitely thinking about transitioning a lot of my stuff to electric because I'm seeing my gas bill increase and increase and increase. And I know SMUD, and I know we're being really mindful about rates. So that's something to consider too. Just that sustainability of, SMUD in essence is who you would be working with to get your energy.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And I'll be looking at the website more closely now. I'll take my hand down. Thank you.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Right, should we get to those 6 questions? I feel like we just tackled the first one, really.
Yeah, I feel like we've handled quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I will chime in on this. So I thank Jeff for raising the questions about cost savings. There's also, last year, SMUD was still trying to decide how they were going to help people afford to do the conversions. So yes, we look forward to the savings once the conversion is done, but there's a real problem with getting the conversions done. SMUD is aware that the majority of their solar customers are all people making more than something like $120,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
That people with moderate or below moderate incomes cannot afford solar. So maybe they're interested, they just can't because of the costs.
Right.
It's not sure once the solar is there, they would save money, but they can't pull the money together to buy and install the solar. So when we're talking about taking all of our homes to 100% electric, the costs of converting is, Mangan Park's homes are all 1950s elevated wood frame bungalows, basically. Most of us have the original electrical panels still operating. When I purchased this house in 2004, I had money knocked off the price because I had to hire an electrician to come in and bring the house up to code. So the first thing before I actually moved in was that I had an electrician and an apprentice in here working for a day or two, making certain that the electricity in my house was safe. So when we're talking about taking out my gas heater, my gas stove, I think my air conditioning is electric, but we're talking about doing all of those conversions. My house, we're probably going to have to update my panel in the least. My house is in the $20,000 to $25,000 range to get it to 100% electric. And my neighbors are hearing the same thing. A lot of us don't have that much money in the bank. We're not going to have that much money in the bank at one time for 3 or 4 years. We're that is just an astounding number to us. We live in Mangan Park in these little older homes because this is all we can afford to begin with. So how are we supposed to accomplish this? And yes, I see on your website that you're offering some rebates on appliances, et cetera. Part of the conversation from last year, Dave might have heard me say this, but Ashley, you might be new. SMUD anticipated rebates in the area of $8,750 to help, which had my neighbor's jaws on the floor going, you'll still kill us. The response is we either have to be out of compliance of what will then be the law and not have our houses up to code and not be able to sell our houses when we need to, or we have to sell up and move out to somebody who can afford to do the conversions. It was the general response and the alarm from my neighbors at the 2040 general plan and taking our houses to 100% electric is we can't afford to do the conversions. And if SMUD, the rebates that I saw on the website, when I did a fast total up in my head, the maximum amount of those rebates, and I'm going to come back to rebates in a moment, is about $6,250 maximum. Last year it was $8,750. So is SMUD starting to make fewer and fewer offers? And then the other thing that's way above your pay grade, I do not want to shoot my messengers, but my neighbors were very upset about rebates because we still have to have the money to pay them before we get a refund. Rebates really won't, even if it was $20,000 in rebates, it still wouldn't help us. We need somebody to directly handle that funding with us, for us, however it happens, because we wanna, but how are we going to afford this? There's a real problem with housing equity when we're talking about doing what is a good and important thing.
Yeah.
But how are we going to financially afford that without all of the lower income, few remaining homeowners losing their homes and becoming permanent renters so someone else can live in their house that's now electrified?
Right. I feel what you're saying. It is a challenge. One answer that may not fit everyone. Actually, if you could throw the home power page back up. At the bottom of it, I think there was something about financing. So SMUD has some resources scrolling to the bottom here.
Okay. Where was that? We were just financing options.
Financing options, right? So there are some resources on this page, and they can help customers, make the change. Probably, your smart thermostat from the SMUD Energy Store is your first choice because it's less than $100. So that's approachable. It also lets you participate in the My Energy Optimizer program we talked about earlier. And then this is a resource for, sort of coordinating a loan, the SMUD contractor network, and getting some of these things that you talked about, heat pumps, electrical wiring, it shows there, panel upgrade you mentioned. So I think, you know, this can serve some customers. I'm hoping home prices will keep going up in the region, so maybe it'll all work out in the long run. But I definitely hear what you're saying. It's a challenge.
Yeah, and I just want to like offer a little anecdote. I think people I know, including myself, I kind of take these one at a time as much as I can. You know, like if something's going out, I consider going electric to replace it, right? So at no point is SMUD saying you have to do it all at once. There's bundles and things like that, but I kind of heard, and I just want to clarify that maybe there was something coming from the city in the 2040 plan that was a little bit more, it's different than kind of what we're talking about today. So I just want to clarify kind of SMUD's role in this.
Right, it is a little different, and but it's closely related because the 2040 general plan, for anybody who might be listening or watching who doesn't already know this, is going to require a lot, you know, in stages that our houses are converted to 100% electricity. That's existing homes. And so I've done a lot of work in the last year trying to tell people, no, it's not just new construction, it's existing construction. It's going to be all of our homes. So, you know, I appreciate that a year ago, SMUD kind of backed me up and said, yes, that is what the documentation says, because a lot of people were just like, Jen, you're crazy. It's only for new construction. Well, there is a new construction ordinance and there is an existing building ordinance coming. And so sure, the run on the city documentation is that it's something like 10 to 15 years before it gets bad. But I mean,
well, let's keep that conversation open, and as much as SMUD can provide resources and, you know, help you get the right resources lined up, if you are interested in any of these resources and rebates, we'd be happy to help you along. So
thank you. Yes, and I am aware that this is what is going to be an ongoing conversation.
Yeah.
And that we are trying to figure out how we're going to do this as smoothly as possible, which is why I was so glad to have both of you here this evening.
Sure. And great that you're getting the message out there, making it clear for everyone. Ashley, you want to keep going through the questions? I think you got the list in front of you.
I do. I'm trying not to jumble too many screens at once. You know how this goes. You get too many windows open. Your second question was focused on for our carbon-free by 2030 plan, or what are the updates for new technologies that we are looking at? Dave, do you want to take that one?
Well, it's pretty simple. Like, you'll know, like, we'll come back and tell you as soon as we have anything to share. So I know they're evaluating a number of things. I can't speak beyond that, but they're looking at some good stuff.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
From your presentation, when you said expect 2 times renewable energy resources by 2025, I was like, really? How are you going to do that?
Well,
I was like, I want to see the toys. What are we talking about here? How do you make that happen?
I know we've expanded our wind quite a bit, and there's more solar coming on, and power purchase agreements are bringing other resources to us. So that's probably where that number is coming from. I don't really have line of sight on the elements of the presentation, but
yeah, you nailed it, Dave. That's exactly.
There's correct. A lot of resources coming online with the state. It's a matter of getting them all connected to this magic grid that we have.
Are you getting solid, good, helpful support from the state for doing the carbon free by 2030 plan?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know, you know, because there's a question about, yeah, we want that. That sounds amazing. But once again, how are you guys funding it?
Yeah. We mentioned this in the presentation, but we have departments that are specifically working on grants and partnerships with state, local agencies and such. So that's definitely top of mind for us and moving it forward. So
yeah, we're very concerned about keeping rates fair. So that's important.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jeff, have you just raised your hand?
Yes, thanks. Jeff, I just want to let you know that as far as I know, that there's the the electrification plan, they're just starting to really tackle the details of it. And in some meetings I've been in, I pointed out things like when you do it gradually, when your water heater breaks, you're going to have to, many people forgetting about the cost are going to have difficulty scheduling the electrical upgrade from the electrician, and who knows how long it's going to take for you to get hot water service in your house. And I think the city is aware of a lot of those things, but there is a email list that I'll look for and try to share in the chat before the meeting's over, where people can get emails from the city regarding what they're doing with electrification and what kind of progress they're making. So that it's going to be helpful to give them feedback with the very cool points that you mentioned. I never even occurred to me that at resale that the house automatically, the property value goes down and it needs the upgrade. That's just a fascinating point, and it's one that cannot be overlooked. So I'll look for that link to get on their emails blog, if you want to call it that. I'm not sure. No, it's just all the distribution of when meetings are happening, when community outreach is, that sort of thing. If I can't find it by the end of the meeting, I'll email it to you after the meeting.
All right. Thank you, Jeff.
Unless you have it already.
I swim in emails, so it's super hard to say what I have and don't have on a moment's notice.
Okay, I'll track it down. And again, Ashley and Dave, thank you both so much. I'm personally all in with the electrification stuff, and I think it's a great thing.
Yeah.
I'll share the link to join the charge.
Okay.
Yeah, get you a T-shirt. All right.
But I think that there are ways to make it less painful for people.
Yeah.
Progress always causes some people a little bit, or not often causes some people a little bit of displacement and pain, and for the general community. But we should try to mitigate that as much as possible. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, so I think, in interest of time, I think we did cover most of your questions. Is there anything I'm missing?
There's 2 items. I just glanced at my list. So when you see me look at the side here, I'm reading my big screen.
Sure.
And so I think we've touched on a lot of them. It's just, if we're doing wind, have there been purchases of land so that we can have wind and solar farms? Is SMUD working their way through that part of the problem from last year?
As far as I know, I mean, we've got other projects coming online, and we have a real estate team that's actively working. So, yes.
Okay, got it. And then the last one is current plan to install the EMP resistant infrastructure.
Yeah.
As we become more and more dependent on electricity.
So that's something that we can't really speak to. It sounds like a security question, so I'm not really sure. We can pass that through and see if we get an answer.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah, we've sent that along. So anything I can gather, I will definitely get back to you, Jennifer.
Thank you. And so I think that does take care of a lot of my questions. And I realized I had to send them ahead of time because some of them are kind of unusual. And
well, it helps us be more efficient with you as well, which we super appreciate.
Yeah,
so
it was very kind. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
And I just want to mention, I did drop a link to the shade tree program and our details on our website. I know we don't have maybe we do have time. I don't know what the schedule looks like for tonight, but I just wanted to make sure to put that in there for you as well. So,
so that's something else that is I'm learning is kind of unique about Mangan Park. When I get the people together, I tend to encourage the conversations, and I don't have a strong cutoff time.
Okay.
I do try to make certain that the conversation is moving and that we're not wasting our time in conversation. But we don't have a strict hour and a half cutoff. However, I'm also want to respect your time. Okay. You've been here with us for an hour and a half. And so maybe we do want to come back and do a more detailed discussion about trees for next month. And see how that goes, because I also had kind of visions of bringing in a tree advocate or two from the area And I was going to call it the green meeting. So, running my own themes, and this was going to be our green meeting with, SMUD and tree programs and tree advocates. And honestly, you heard me mention it's not been too easy to be me the last month, and I didn't get to the tree advocates. So maybe we just save that for next month or the month after, and we, save our energy and do a really great job again soon.
That sounds wonderful. Yeah,
Great.
really appreciate that. And yeah, I'll connect with you directly and we can coordinate a time.
That
Thanks
sounds
so much.
definitely like a plan. And actually, before I lose you, Ashley,
Mhm.
the word is in from the city parks. Mangan Pool is opening June 17th.
Oh,
so
so
I
exciting.
know she's a bit of a fish. She's welcome to come swim with us.
Thank you so much. Yes, I appreciate that. I could bring the kids.
Absolutely. Now that I don't know what the current plan is, but if you look at the city website for the aquatics program, we used to have a Friday night late swim,
Oh,
and at a cut rate. So we kind of encourage families to pack picnics and everybody swim and then eat, dinner in the park. And if you felt like it, go for a little bit more of a swim afterwards. So check it
sounds
out.
like a great event.
We'll see if we're still doing those sorts of things. I'm definitely advocating for it if they aren't going to do it for us. So yeah, and anytime, reach out to me and the rest of Mangan Park for, hey, when are we doing the swim thing?
Yes. Wonderful.
Cool.
Well, it was lovely to see you all and meet you all. And we look forward to future meetings as well. So thanks for the opportunity.
Good night,
You are
everyone.
very
Take
welcome.
care.
Thank you, Dave.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.